Okay, so
point it at you.
well, no, you can record the pictures. Everything went great. It was not as easy as I thought. It was actually quite challenging. Everything bled. Everything was just very vascularized. But I was very pleased with the final result. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, page 1. Top left picture is sort of an orientation view. So just to get your bearings, we're looking from the belly button towards the feet. So left is left and right is right. Here's the uterus, bladder's up top, bowel's down below here. Now, she's got some adhesions, some bands of adhesions here. I guess from her previous C-section. Okay, here is the area over the bladder in the midline. Top right picture of page 1. Bottom left picture is the left side above the uterus. That looks fine. Bottom right picture is the right side above the uterus, and that looks fine. Now, I thought we should take down this adhesion because if she ever had or got pregnant again in the future, that would be in the way anyway. So I ended up taking that down. Page 2 here. Here's the uterus now flipped up. Here's what's called the uterosacral ligament arch. Here's her left ovary, here's her right ovary. Okay. Now from here, if you stay at this view, everything looks pretty good. But when you zoom in, you start to see a lot. So here's the top of the uterosacral ligament arch. And you see a big patch right there. Now not only is it the black spot, and there's some on the bowel here as well, there's white all around it. Okay, and the bowel is right here. It's actually very near the bowel. Bottom left picture of page 2, here's the right uterosacral ligament. We saw this part here, which is the same as that. But there's some stuff here, there's some stuff here, and this whole area here is all sunken in. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Bottom right picture of page 2, here's her left ovary, and it's all stuck. There's adhesions to it. We have to release all that. It's actually stuck more on the back side of it that you can't even see. But there's actually whitish stuff all in here along the surface here, which is near the bowel, behind the left ovary. Top right picture of page 3 is the appendix, and that looks okay. Near the appendix along the sidewall, bottom left picture of page 3, there's a little nodule there. Bottom right picture of page 3 is the liver edge and the gallbladder, and that looks fine. Okay, so first we take down some of those adhesions from over the uterus. So we took those down. We cut out a patch here and then cut off this area here, and that looks fine. Bottom left picture of page 4. There's some adhesions. This is sort of like a one-sided adhesion coming off the right ovary. So we just kind of clean that off and cut that off. We then took out this, all this part here, bottom left picture of page 2. So the black spot there in the big retraction pocket there, it's actually right over the ureter. So we had to get it off the ureter. There's vessels all around there. And it did bleed quite a bit. So here we've freed up the ureter, and this whole area has been cut out. Here's where it did bleed. So we had to cauterize that. We actually did clean that up a little bit better later. Then I show you page 5. This is the area under the uterosacral arch. This is the uterus up here. All this actually has to go, as well as this nodule here that was in the back of the uterus here, really back of the cervix that we saw right here. Top right picture of page 2, we haven't dealt with that yet. But there's actually whitish spots all along here. Here, you can see it's kind of puckered in here. And then there's some other stuff going on here. There's some stuff here. So all these has to go. Now this is right over the right over the bowel here, in the space between the uterus and the bowel. There was also some spots on the bowel itself. So here's an example of the spot right on the bowel. So here's the after picture of that. We cut that out. And then we're going to remove all this area between the uterus and the bowel. So here's right here. Here's the bowel. And all this area had to be cut out, which we did, plus this nodule area right here. and we cut that out, which was that area that I showed you top right picture of page 2, which was really quite thick, and that did bleed as well. So again, things bled. If it bleeds, we have to cauterize it, so there is some black there, but that's better than everything being all charred up. The bowel is right there. So we scalloped it off all between the uterus and the bowel and the back of the cervix. We did this left side here as well. We had to free up that left ureter, and then excised all this patch over the left ureter. When we unstick the bowel, unstick the ovary from the left side, the left ovary was stuck, you still have to kind of carve out what made it stick in the first place, because it was probably stuck from endometriosis.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a final view. So here is the left ureter, here's the right ureter. So we had to completely free those up. And then we cut out all this area here. So really, actually all up into here. It's really all the area behind the cervix, between the uterus and the bowel, and along the side walls. All had to be cleared out, including a few spots on the bowel itself. Lastly was the ovary itself. There was a cyst there, and we cut that out. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the end result was quite good. I mean, there are some spots of black, but that's actually relatively minimal. You see it's very clean and dry, and those areas should just heal over like a skin.
Okay.
But from my point of view, we cut out whatever we could tell was endo.
Mm-hmm.
And achieved this goal of what I call complete or optimal excision of all visible disease, including the cyst on the left ovary. The rest of the left ovary is still there. We actually flushed the tubes as well, and they're both open.
Okay.
So she has both tubes and both ovaries.
Good.
But there was a good amount. And in places where most people would not treat, like near vessels, near the ureter, over the ureter, on the bowel, near the bowel. So, but again, I thought the end result was good, that we cut out whatever we could tell was endo. We then cleaned out the uterus, the lining of the uterus. There's maybe a small polyp in there, we'll see. And then we looked inside the bladder for the evil twin and did not find it.
Okay.
But, so here's a picture of the bladder here. Actually, no, wait, I take it back. We did find it. That's right, here. So there are some red spots. So she does have a very mild case of the evil twin called interstitial cystitis. So we'll talk about that when she comes back in her follow-up.
Okay.
That's another source of pain, underdiagnosed, undertreated source of pain from the bladder, and it's inflammation.
Okay.
So the endo was see and treat. The bladder part was just to diagnose it at surgery.
Okay.
But again, I thought it went well, and we treat endo to try to help improve pain and fertility, and both should be better. So.
Okay.